Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning. Do people actually recover from fluoroquinolone toxicity? Do they ever heal 100%? Keep watching and find out. Welcome to This is Floxed on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My special guest today is Kiley Woodland, also known as Celebrate the Little Wins on social media. She is a singer-songwriter, lead vocalist of The Lion in the River, storyteller, and advocate for people's lives who have been derailed by chronic illness. Before Kiley took a fluoroquinolone antibiotic, she was literally living her dream. And she was in a band, touring the world, and opening for famous musicians like Kiss, Sheryl Crow, and many others. And all that was stolen from her when she took a fluoroquinolone antibiotic in 2019. And as most Floxed stories go, it was downhill from there. In the early days, Kiley was wheelchair bound and had over 70 Floxed symptoms. However, 7 years later, Kiley is getting back to her life, back to her music, and serving as a resource for other people that are Floxed. She has a large social media following and has been a fluoroquinolone toxicity advocate for years now. In fact, Kiley was one of the people and reasons why I got involved with advocacy when I first got Floxed. And just like me, she wants you, the general public, to be aware of the dangerous nature of this class of antibiotics. Today, Kiley will be talking about her journey, what she did for herself to get better, and what the future holds. She will also discuss her website, as well as her free downloadable relief guide. This episode, in and of itself, is supposed to be a message of hope for anyone that's affected by fluoroquinolone toxicity. Kiley's message is simple but powerful, and I quote, "Healing is possible, purpose can survive even the darkest seasons, and sometimes the most meaningful chapters of our lives begin when everything falls apart. There is hope, and you will see that today." So with that being said, I'd like to bring out my special guest and friend, Kiley Woodland.
Hi, Talia. It's so
Hi.
good to be here with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
I know. I'm very excited. The tables are turned. You interviewed me first. No, it's your turn.
I love it. Got to be in the hot seat, you know?
Yep. So to start off the show, I think the best way is just to, if you can briefly explain to the viewers, because there's a lot of people that watching that aren't Floxed, like what it feels like to be Floxed and what were your worst symptoms, because it's not just Achilles heel tendonitis, everybody. It's so much more than that. So can you give us a little explanation of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I mean, it felt like my entire body was like ripped apart. It felt like a bomb went off. It affected my brain, my heart, my gut, my tendons, my musculoskeletal system, my eyes, literally everything felt like it was just beyond destroyed. And going from living such an active life and being a singer-songwriter and performer and being on stages and being so independent to having my basic abilities taken away, I think was one of the most difficult things to not only deal with as far as physical symptoms go, But mentally and emotionally was just, it collapsed my entire world because basic things became the most difficult. And I didn't know how to cope with that.
And
So,
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just saying how it just felt like everything collapsed. And it's so much more than fluoroquinolone toxicity, and the symptoms that you can experience from it is so much more than just, like you said, Achilles tendon issues. I had tendon issues from head to toe, and my hands became crippled. I had my joints swelled to the size of cantaloupes. Like, I couldn't move. And, my partner had to pour water into my mouth for just to survive. It was, as it's something so severe physically that it's hard to even put into words. And, yeah, it's a pretty crazy physical thing to go through and to start coming out on the other side. But before I say anything more about that, I just want to say how amazing you are. Like, I think it's really important to just touch on this for a second. I think about this all the time, Talia, because I lost my ability to walk, and I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. And through that, I started sharing my story on social media because I lost so many people in my life, and my whole reality collapsed. That I was like, one, I was like, other people need to know about this, and two, I need support, like, to find support somewhere. And I know how hard it is to, like, even just share something online when you feel good, and then how the other flip side to that of how hard it is when you feel like absolute crap, and then you're sharing and trying to educate people and spread the word. And you do such a phenomenal job of advocating for so many people who have no voice. So thank you on behalf of the entire Floxed community, and on behalf of people with chronic illness. Like, you are a champion for people who have lost everything just like yourself. And it takes, I hope anyone watching right now can feel even just a tiny little piece of my heart of knowing how much effort it takes when you feel like death yourself to put yourself out there and to put on a brave face. And you just do such a good job of that. So thank you so, so much. And I am rooting so hard for you, girl. Like, you are so appreciated and so loved, and you deserve so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely hard. Like you said, you have like this change to your life. You were independent and then you weren't. But then you also have these physical symptoms where you're sure there's no way you're going to survive. They are so severe. I always say this in every interview. This is like an extinction level event. This is mitochondria damage, which affects everything. And you just feel so sick. You're like, I'm definitely not even going to survive. Right. So it's you got the two things going on, like, my life's been stolen from me, but I actually don't think I'm going to make it, so it's just, and like you were just saying, for, being an advocate, people don't understand what goes into it, and they see you on a video and they think that you're doing better than you are, that you're healed and everything's fine, and not understanding that this takes me out for the rest of the day. Right. But for me, it's worth it. So nobody has to say, oh, I'm sorry, I made this decision. This is what I want to do. It's hard for all of us to have that thick skin when you feel sick, is really hard. So
It is.
thank you
Yeah.
for those kind words.
Yeah. I mean it. I hope you feel my heart, because
I do.
You are just, I like, it's almost, it's going to make me cry. So I'm going to try to not cry, but thank you so much, Talia. I feel like crying and swearing and everything.
Yeah.
Fluoroquinolone toxicity makes everything 1,000% more real than you ever could have thought, because any single little smidge, any little win that comes after the experience, or anything that feels even not like a little win, is so magnified. Everything is so extreme and so intense. It's it's a rough one.
I feel you.
I think one of the things that 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 a lot of people who are going through this can relate on is when you get floxed, it's not just something that you're maybe diagnosed with, because most people can't even get diagnosed with it because it's not recognized in the system. After that, not only having your life and your health fall apart, everything seems to follow, where you can't get acknowledgement from the medical system. Most people in your life won't believe you. People disown you. People leave your life. It's like, it's such a, I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm. And
Anyway.
the other thing is that you continue to get sick because your mitochondria is damaged, and people are like, it's definitely not the antibiotic. They took that so long ago. How could it still be impacting them? It's a hard thing to prove. So
Yeah, and that's what happened to me, where I had it and I didn't know, or I got floxed and I didn't know for over 3 years because I never knew about fluoroquinolone toxicity, and my symptoms were getting worse and worse and worse and worse, but I didn't know why.
yeah, yeah. So I know people would love to hear this from you, because people are always looking to success stories to hear what they did. Is what I'm gonna go in reverse, but what is the biggest mistake you made in your healing journey? And I always bring that up, not to be negative, but I think there are things that we can do to save ourselves in the early days that we are not aware of. And if we just knew, maybe our healing would happen faster or whatever. So what do you think was your biggest mistake in your journey that you
I
could share with other people?
I think there were multiple things. I think, I realized pretty far down the road, which would have been really helpful to me in the beginning, that you can't heal in an environment that keeps your body feeling unsafe. Understanding what happens with our nervous systems and how fried they get when you get floxed, that would have made such a big difference for me. Not creating stronger boundaries sooner was a really big thing with stressful dynamics and relationships in my life. I have a few notes on this. Not moving into a healthy environment sooner was just such a big one. Giving the wrong people access to my recovery, giving the wrong people access to my vulnerability and my hopes and my dreams. I think when something devastating happens to you, it's really important that you have to understand who is a safe space to even just share basic hopes, desires, and ideas with. And understanding that not all people in your life will actually have your best interest at heart. Not investigating core deficiencies sooner. For me, that meant iron and vitamin D. Those two were absolutely huge. We know that iron, fluoroquinolones chelate iron out of the cells. And before I was floxed, I was very anemic. And I do believe that played a very significant role in not only my downfall, so to speak, and my collapse, the collapse of my health, but also what has helped me over the last couple months to make a lot of progress. I'm walking a lot more distance now, and I started to be able to do rehabilitative therapy. And that came after basically getting my iron and vitamin D levels in a really healthy range. And when I did that, those deficiencies for me were so severe, I didn't have any in my body. And so getting those in check, really changed the game for me. There was an important nuance there too, where some things were not not things I would name as mistakes, but because I was too sick to do them earlier, And I was too like disabled to do them earlier. So I think those would probably be the main ones. I definitely had a lot of shame, especially in like the first chapter of my floxing journey. And I think just now I've been able to come to a place, you know, years later, of just having a lot more compassion for myself. So I think when you can just, you know, look at your suffering, like, you know, we all need help at some point in our lives. And that was a very, very hard one for me because I was always so independent before. And then, you know, my partner became my caretaker and everything collapsed. And I was like, I just felt so much shame for that. But I think if you can have grace upon grace upon grace for yourself, and that can really be really helpful.
So if I ask you a next question, and I think we can continue the train of thought that I'm having right now is what you believe was the most important factor in your recovery. I mean, you mentioned the vitamin D, the iron, but the shame piece is the one that I'm like really interested in. And I feel the same thing. I put the pills in my mouth and I feel like I ruined my whole life, even though I just was trusting my doctor. And there's so many people that come to me and say the same thing. And what advice can you give to people to help them with that? How do they feel less shame or less guilt or whatever the word may be?
It's a really good question.
Yeah. I struggle with that too. When people reach out to me, it's like you only knew what you knew at the time. But then when I tell my own self that, I'm like, why doesn't it work on me when I tell myself that? I only knew what I knew at the time. I still feel shame and guilt. It's guilt. I think I feel guilt more than shame.
I felt a lot of guilt too.
I let everybody down by
Yeah.
getting sick. Yeah.
I think well, first I'd say I don't know that there's a right way or a wrong way to answer that question. I think it's probably different for all of us. For me, I have to be honest and say, like, it's something I still struggle with. It's not like it was, but I think I've really sat with the word grace of like, what does it actually mean to have grace for yourself? And that was a really hard thing to like apply to myself in my own story, because I've always been very, very hard on myself. And I think a lot of us are, who end up in this kind of situation. When I take myself out of it and kind of act like this third party where I'm applying it to somebody else, I immediately, like, the perception switches where it's like, when I look at my story from a third party perspective and take my own emotional experience out of it for a second, and I look to set example, right, of this person going through what I'm going through, and I'm like, wow, my heart really goes out to them. Like, wow, they're so strong for making it through that, for dealing with this, like, what's the right word? Like, incomprehensible grief that comes with it. And like, I not only feel for them, but I respect the crap out of them. And when I immediately like can shift myself into that, where I'm just for a second pretending that I'm this, third party outsider to my life or looking in on somebody else, I just have a lot of respect and compassion for that person. So I think that is probably something that has helped me a lot to kind of switch that, like, wow, I'm just drowning in regret and grief and shame, and I'm such a burden to everybody in my life and my partner, and I've ruined his life and all this, like it's such a downward spiral that it really, it's like it feels like a nuke to the soul, you know? And yeah, I think when I look in from the outside, that's probably been one of the most helpful things, because I just immediately feel compassion for that person. And I'm like, I'm so proud. It turns into feeling proud of myself, or proud of that person that I'm thinking about. And I'm just like, if somebody, as people come to me, you know, in my DMs or messages, whatever, just like they do to you, you know, and they share their story with me, I'm just like, I'm so proud of you that you didn't give up through that. And so I think it helps kind of transform it into something that feels like, okay, I can sit with that. And how does it feel to sit in that feeling versus spiral into the inevitable, you know, negative dump that just takes you down further and further, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I just feel everything you say so deeply, because we're both Floxed and we both had similar experiences. So,
a lot of that too is where like the essence of Celebrate the Little Wins has come from. Like that, it only existed, Celebrate the Little Wins, like this moniker or phrase or whatever, it only existed because that is what my life became, where I would literally like move my foot like that, you know, at the edge of the bed. And I was like, hallelujah, you know, that's all I can do right now.
Yeah.
And so I think when you can have that perspective of like, okay, this terrible guilt and grief and shame and all this stuff rolled into one, it's so complex, you can't even like make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't even like vocalize it half the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can just start noticing those moments where, okay, for 5 seconds, I can feel a little bit of like compassion for that girl that this happened to. Wow, she kept going. How does that feel? Wow, I'm really proud of that. Okay, lean into that. And then even if it's 5 or 10 seconds, like if you start piling that up every single day, not necessarily piling it up, but like you keep adding to that, it starts to build, you know, and that starts to build, I think, more life force versus the inevitable, all the terrible feelings that can come along with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely get that.
I wanted to answer your question from before of like the important factor in my recovery. I was just thinking about this, and you know, hope was not like a fantasy for me. It was a strategy, and it still is, because there's still, you know, things that I deal with that I feel like I'm still overcoming. And it wasn't this like, it was believing that healing was possible for me versus deciding, well, other people have told me, or the forums say, or doctors, blah, blah, blah. It was, my body's an incredible miracle healing machine, and it was working long before I even thought anything about it. So you use that hope as a strategy versus this toxic positivity of everything is great. Like, no, everything's not great. Everything's absolutely terrible. And I don't know how to pull myself out of this, you know? But like when you find that a little bit of hope for something that makes you feel lit up, it gives you purpose, you know, purpose gives you a reason to keep going. And I think that's something that's so beautiful about your journey, is that you keep finding purpose, right? You keep finding a reason to pour into your journey and your story, no matter how painful it is.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about your handle, right? Celebrate the Little Wins. I don't think people may understand like how monumental that name is, right? So what because what you're describing right now is having that mindset shift to, my whole world is crumbling, I have nothing to look forward to I'm never going to recover, and then, oh wait, look at this little thing I could do, like you wiggled your toe, right? Do you remember when I posted the video that I could open this chapstick after 1 year?
Yeah, it was amazing. It
what
made
did
me
you
cry.
You wrote celebrate the little wins. And I said, I'm still in this stupid hospital bed. And then I see that word, celebrate the little wins. And I said, she's right. She's right. So for everybody out there that, was thinking you're never going to get better, there are these little wins. You might not notice they're there or might not give yourself credit for the fact that they're there. You're just so focused on the fact that your life is what you don't want it to be now, and you're in so much pain. But if you actually focus every single day on something, I'm sure you can find even the smallest win every single day. Like I keep a journal, and in the journal I write, because it's hard for me to be like, oh, what am I, like gratitude journal, right? So instead, my journal says, what didn't go so horribly for me today? Like I do it that way. And I'm like, well, today I didn't wake up with stabbing head pain like I normally do.
Right.
Win, so like celebrate the little wins. So that's
Yeah.
what I do every single day, right?
Amazing.
3 things like that. And let me tell you, it makes a huge difference. And it does give you hope in and of itself. Because when you go back and read the things that you have on that list, you're like, oh boy, that was a little bit of a big one for me. Like, I think everyone has seen that I've been doing light therapy and going outside. The fact that I can go outside without sunglasses is probably the biggest thing in my recovery. I've worn sunglasses inside the house. Went to sleep with sunglasses, and I see that and I'm like, this is like, this is hope. This is hope. Even though, yes, I'm still stuck in the stupid hospital bed. Here's that Floxed part, right? But that is celebrate a medium large win. How about that?
Yeah, and it's really important. I mean, even just as you were saying that out loud, your physical expression and everything that came out of you, it changed. Your cheeks lit up, like your eyes started glimmering a little bit more. Like it's incredible. It's truly incredible when you start to embrace that. And it's really not, I think a lot of people get hung up on this whole like, oh, well, I don't have that kind of positivity. It's like, no, trust that we don't either. It's a choice to pick out these little wins that are happening. And I think a few other notes that I had about that is like when you find purpose, it gives you a reason to keep going. I say hold the vision a lot. And it's because when my body was crippled and I couldn't move, I couldn't even like go like this with my hand. I couldn't hold a phone. I couldn't drink water. I couldn't eat. And I thought I was dying. I found a vision that inspired me. And every single day, even if I couldn't open my eyes, I would envision myself, for me, as being back on stage. And it's just such a visceral feeling for me. So I encourage everyone to, what I say, hold a vision. Find a vision that feels like it gives you purpose, even if it's just 1%, even if that means going for a walk around the block or holding your kids, whatever it is, and practice holding that vision every single day. I have spent thousands and thousands of hours holding the visions in my head of things that I desired doing that are now starting to come true. And it's taken years. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because they want to say, what's the one magic pill that I can take that's just going to bring me back to my life before, But, when you have your mindset helps you essentially keep looking for answers instead of collapsing into a state of like, this is permanent. And when you're curious, it basically can give you an opportunity to keep problem solving, which is really important when you get floxed. So, understanding that the body responds to stress and hope, and that a mindset affects our physiology. So that was a really important factor for me.
One of the things that I love about your recovery story and all of the things you talk about is that you do have this whole mindset, nervous system approach as well. You hit on it earlier when you said, I want this magic pill. Everybody that's floxed that reaches out, I'm sure you hear it too. How do I get this out? Help me detox it out. What pill should I take to get rid of it? If it was that simple to just take a pill and get it out of your system and you go back to normal, we would all be doing that. But
Right.
that's not the case.
We've
So-
already found it.
right. So in your approach and your, the way you talk to people on social media and the videos you make, it always includes the nervous system and emotional aspect and the mindset. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important, because doing a detox, I hate that word, is not going to cut it. And so it's just not.
Well, and for people who have highly sensitive bodies like us, it's really important to know too that most detoxes can only, not always, but they can make us far worse. That happened to me, and detoxing is something that can come after,
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like the first, like just detox, because detoxing is really, really hard on the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you don't have ATP, it's kind of hard to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, nervous system
Yeah.
support and regulation, for me, has been at the absolute core of everything regarding my healing.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm still very much so working on every single day, because it's at the core of our recovery.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just something that people don't want to hear. But when they actually get into paying attention to the nervous system, because I know, like, I had Primal Trust, Dr. Kathleen King on here, and some people have started doing her class and are saying it's making a world of difference being in that class, because it's about your nervous system. I'm like, see, you get it. You get it. So people aren't going to understand until they experience the mindset change that also starts to change you physically. And of course, you're also not saying like, oh, I just imagine being on stage again and poof, I'm cured. That's not it either. It's about just like calming your nervous system to make your body feel safe to heal, right?
Yeah. And I found too that, a lot of nervous system, like regulation practices or whatever, that are more generalized did not work for me when I was bedbound and couldn't move my body. So things like breathing exercises were really, really helpful. And sometimes that was all I could do. Sometimes it was just, I'm going to smile, even though I hate this right now.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah.
I still do that all the time.
So I think that's something to, to consider when you feel like your body is failing you. One, your body's working really, really hard to support you in every single moment, and has been since you were born. It's a miracle that we're even alive, right? I think it's important to understand that the body wants you to recover, wants you to heal, and is working so hard for that. And when you feel like your body collapses on you, it feels like it's working against you. It's not working against you. It's trying to find every reason to help you keep going. So any little bit of support that you can give it and start to build those foundations, that was imperative to my recovery. Was like, okay, it's going to take work. It's going to take time. But I didn't expect time to be my healer and just wait it out. I think that's something with Floxies that is really common that you see on like all these forums and everything is like, give it time. And for me, that was not helpful, because I was collapsing. And then after I was collapsing more. And I had to learn how to work with my body to take aggressive action. Obviously, it's going to be nuanced and different for everyone, but that was really important. And so whatever support that you can give your body and learn how to work with it and its bio-individual needs is extremely important.
And can we address the question so oftenly asked, will I ever be able to go to the person I was? Will I ever be able to go back to the person I was before? How do you answer people when they ask you that?
I don't think healing is always about becoming the exact person that you were before.
Right.
But, I think sometimes it's more about becoming someone who's more alive and someone who's more aware and aligned with your life's purpose. And Yeah, I mean, I think the question is, or, the answer is definitely nuanced. But yeah, I think one thing that has been really apparent for me is getting Floxed really weeded out, like everything that was no longer serving me, and I didn't have a choice anymore. It was just gone, which was grief wise extremely, extremely difficult and still at times weighs very heavy on me. Um, but I do believe it has kind of led me into this space of like not only deep purpose, but feeling like everything in my life is more aligned. So maybe, yeah, maybe it's not so much about, becoming exactly who you were before, because for me personally, like, I don't know how I can ever go back to that person. Like, I am forever changed, and that's not all in a negative way. I mean, I I walk now, and it it I want to cry every single time because I'm like, wow, I felt like I lived in gratitude before this, but man, every single like waking moment of my life now, even if, you know, I'm nauseous, but I can get in the car and go to the store. I'm like, oh my God, I can get in the car and sit in the seat and go to the store, and then I can get out and walk into the store now. And I have this type of like abundance for life that I never knew before. So maybe it's not about like just getting back to the old version, but maybe it's about, becoming that person who's more alive and aware and aligned with what's meant for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree that. And it's taken me a long time to get there. Long
Yeah,
time.
same. It's
Yeah,
not an overnight process.
yeah.
Yeah.
So before oh, this is your website. Oh, do you want to just briefly touch on your relief guide?
Yeah, I have a relief guide for anyone who's out there struggling with fluoroquinolone toxicity. I basically, in the beginning of my journey and then throughout my journey, I was just kind of in a very intense way tracking everything and taking notes of anything I could, and just have learned a lot along the way. So I started just putting that information into like a document, and then when I started sharing my story, a lot of people would reach out saying like, what has helped you? And then so I just ended up sharing this document that I had created for myself, and um, yeah, my partner helped me put most of it together because when we started putting it together, I couldn't actually use my hands. I couldn't type. But this is like thousands of hours of time and work and energy. And it's just something that I wish existed when I collapsed. And there's a lot of stuff about triggers in there. So I would definitely just look at that. And if you need help or you know someone who's struggling with this, feel free to send them a copy. It's again, it's free. And it's just something I wish existed when all of this happened to me. There's a lot of resources in there that might be useful to someone out there.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Thank you.
Um, Before I close out the show, is there anything you'd like to say before I do that about fluoroquinolones, your journey, healing, anything before I close it out?
Um, I want people to stop treating these medications like they are casual, because for some of us, it really has destroyed everything. And um, I would love to know that doctors and um, medical professionals out there get the education on these antibiotics that is needed. And I think one thing that could be helpful is, for people who are not flocks out there, you can put this as an allergy in your medication list, so you're not just like randomly given it. Know the risks and dangers. That's why Talia and I advocate so hard for this. And my hope is that we can bring systemic change about this in time, and with the more awareness that we create and all that. I think, let me see. You know, the experience itself was absolutely horrific. And I would never choose something like this. I know you wouldn't either. I don't know, nobody would. But understanding that, like, the story is not finished, and you get to decide where you go from here. Helping others has really helped me turn a lot of my pain into purpose. And finding that purpose along the way has been so, so important to my recovery. Finding community and finding, really, like, when I have been in the throes of my suffering, finding somebody else to help has been probably one of the biggest game changers, because it takes emphasis off of your own downward spiral, your own, like, this is never going to get better kind of narrative.
Yeah. Well, Kiley, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. Time goes by so fast when we talk all the time. It's like, that's it. So I just want to close out the show by saying thank you to Kiley for being here today. It's important to note that you can experience fluoroquinolone toxicity from any form of the antibiotic, which includes pill, IV, injectable, eye drops, and ear drops. In 2016, the FDA issued the warning that fluoroquinolone antibiotics should be used as last resort only when no alternatives are available due to permanent and disabling side effects. If you are prescribed a fluoroquinolone antibiotic not as last resort, please ask for an alternative if there is one. Save yourself. And for those of you that are watching and are floxed and suffering, it's important to know that there is hope for recovery, even though you may not heal to 100% and be the same exact person that you were before. It is essential at this point that you just try to get your health back and the quality of life that you deserve. Thank you again to Kiley. I hope everybody will go out and download her free guide, and I will see you all next month. Thank you.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio, for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms. For for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.